Hello, and welcome to the place where we talk about the idols on the hill. I'm Phil, and I'll be your host. In our first video, we talked about the fact that it's possible to understand and to enjoy God. We talked about the things that stand in the way of doing that. We called those things idols. In our second video, we talked about the importance of spiritual connections, looking back, connecting with history, looking around, connecting with our world, looking up, connecting with our Creator. In this video, we're going to look back into the past to connect with some important historical events that shaped faith over the centuries. We'll start with a speech that was given a long time ago by a man named Joshua. It appears in the book of the Bible that bears his name, Joshua, chapter 24. Joshua said to all the people, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Long ago your forefathers, including Terah, the father of Abraham and Nahor, lived beyond the river and worshipped other gods. But I took your father Abraham from the land beyond the Euphrates and led him throughout Canaan and gave him many descendants." Now imagine the scene. The people of Israel have received everything they were promised after fleeing Egypt. They've entered the promised land and they've conquered the squatters who lived there. Now their leader Joshua gathers everyone together to tell them some things that are on his heart. Joshua is an elderly man, and he may not have another chance to address his countrymen. What would you say to your friends and loved ones if you knew it might be the last chance you would ever have to speak with them? I'll bet you'd talk about something important. So Joshua is going to tell his friends the most important things he knows. He starts by reminding the children of Israel of a very important point. Their father, Abraham, the man revered as the founder of their religion and culture, started out in a distant land where people worshipped entities known as other gods. Even Abraham's father was involved in this practice. God saved Abraham from this life and put him on the path to righteousness. This is a vitally important point. Abraham started his spiritual journey by departing from idols and idolatry. Had he not done that, there would be no people of Israel. There would be no Moses, no law. There would be no history compiled into the book we know of as the Bible. There is a saying today, all roads lead to God. All roads lead to God. Problem, if all roads lead to God, why did Abraham have to leave his home? He could have stayed put. He could have worshipped all of the gods who were currently around him, the gods his family worshipped. Instead, he set out on a dark and dangerous journey. This act defines an aspect of people who choose to call themselves believers. We oppose idols. We can oppose idols by departing from them, by separating ourselves from them as Abraham did. Or we can oppose idols by fighting them, if we feel so led. But, and this is a vitally important point, if we accept them or compromise with them, we lose a big piece of our purpose for being. Joshua continues through several more paragraphs, reminding his listeners of key historical points from Abraham to their time. The story involved a constant battle between followers of the one true God and those who followed the other gods. Joshua gives careful emphasis to the fact that whenever God's people were in danger, God protected them and gave them eventual victories. Protection. Whenever they were in need, God provided. Provision. And now Israel had prosperity and peace handed to them. Prosperity, peace. Joshua's talk reaches a peak when he reminds his countrymen about the source of their newfound prosperity. We read that in verse 13. "So I gave you a land on which you did not toil, and cities you did not build, and you live in them and eat from vineyards and olive groves that you did not plant." No Israelite was to take credit for what they had. It was all from the Lord. And then Joshua ends with this immortal statement. Now, fear the Lord and serve him with all faithfulness. Throw away the gods your forefathers worshipped beyond the river and in Egypt, and serve the Lord. But if serving the Lord seems undesirable to you, then choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve, whether the gods your forefathers served beyond the river, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you are living. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. The statement, but as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord, is one of the best known in the Bible. It's emblazoned on plaques hanging proudly in the homes of many believers. But what does it mean? Do the owners of those plaques really understand the significance of these words? Every time a video in this series starts, we mention our three major points: values, choices, and the battle for the hearts of mankind. All three come into play here. Joshua wanted the people of Israel to choose something. He wanted them to choose to throw away the other gods and serve the one true God. This choice was to play a key role in their faith and in the heritage they would leave for future generations. In this video series, we're going to learn that the ability to choose is infinitely unique and amazing. We all understand that choice is important, but most people don't know how important. This ability opens doors to eternal worlds if we use it correctly, or leaves us in a state not much different than the lower creatures of our planet if we don't. Oftentimes, people think of choices as burdensome, especially when we have to make moral choices. But let me tell you something utterly fantastic. Rather than being a burden, it's possible that every choice which appears before you is an opportunity to connect with God. Now, Joshua wanted his friends to choose to serve God. Well, how do you do that? How do you serve someone, much less God? Here's how you do it. In order to serve God, you need to understand his values. It's really that way with anyone. For example, I love pizza. It's one of the better inventions of modern man. It tastes really, really good. It can make you happy. It's a cure for depression, at least for me. Pizza can make almost any bad day into a good one. Now, on the other hand, I'm not a fan of seaweed. There are lots of people in the world who like it. I'm just not one of them. These are some of my values. If you want to make me happy, if you want to serve me, bring me some pizza. If you want to see me in a less than excited state, bring seaweed. Serving any person involves learning their values. What makes them happy? What troubles them? What angers them? What causes them to grieve? In the same way, serving God means discovering his values. We need to find out what makes him happy and do it. Conversely, serving God means finding out what he doesn't like and avoiding those things. Now, human illustrations often fall short of eternal realities. If I like pizza, that doesn't mean everyone else has to like it. But God's values are different. His values are eternal. His values are the highest and the best. That's why Joshua also said, "Fear the Lord." By fear the Lord, does Joshua mean that we should walk around cowering, afraid that God will throw a lightning bolt at us? Without writing a book on theology, let me suggest a definition of what the Bible calls fearing God that I heard a long time ago. Fear in this case means awesome respect. We need to develop an awesome respect for our Creator and his values. Although it's not mentioned in this passage of Scripture, another important part of our relationship with God is love. In Deuteronomy 6, Moses said these words, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength." Centuries later, Jesus Christ was asked which of the commandments he thought was most important. He agreed with Moses. Love. the Lord your God. And as it turns out, love with God isn't a one-way street. He has great love for us, for me, for you. The Apostle John wrote, God is love. When you have an awesome respect for God, it makes sense that you would see his values as being most important. When you love somebody, you like seeing them happy. So when you love God, you begin to want to serve him. When you love God, you want to learn his values and to make them your own. This is how we begin to enjoy God. Now, the idols also have values. They have things that make them happy. They have things that displease them. And here's another important point. Their values often stand in opposition to the one true God. They want the attention that only God deserves. The idols can sometimes be very appealing and very seductive. Throughout the centuries, they have battled with the one true God for the hearts of mankind. And it's not a small skirmish. It is a titanic war. We, the human race, stand in the middle of this conflict. So, we must choose. The one true God and his values, or the idols and their values. How do we learn God's values? How do we learn to love and respect God? In order to do this, we need to connect with him. We have just one more video in our introductory series, but after that, we will start a segment on how to connect with God so that we can learn to love him, respect him, serve him, and enjoy him. These are the things that we will discuss as we talk about the idols on the hill. Remember, if you're watching on YouTube, you can hit that subscribe button, or you can like us on Facebook. We hope that you'll come back as we continue to talk about the idols on the hill.